What is up, everyone on YouTube? And today we're going to be talking all about Briar with Iseria. Now, Briar with Iseria was available from the Moonlight recruitment event, and if you guys actually started late, you guys still might be contemplating what unit to get. And Briar with Iseria is a very good choice. She is a top tier PvP unit because of her debuffs on her S3 as well as her hit chance built into her S2, making it so that she can actually get rid of those evasion units such as Savior Aiden and also Remnant Violet very easily. She is extremely fun to play, and she's very strong. I want to talk about how you want to build her and what situations you actually want to pick her. So let's actually talk about her skills and actually go over why she's so powerful. So her S3, it is an AoE attack. It will dispel all buffs and has a 75% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns and 100% chance to put unbuffable for 2 turns as well. And if you actually land this attack, it will deal additional damage proportional to Briar with Iseria's attack, similar to Seaside Bellona's artifact in that regard. You can also actually soul burn this to ignore effect resist. So if you're against high effect resist units, or you want to guarantee that you actually strip their buffs, you can soul burn this for 20 souls and ignore effect resist, making her very good into buff units. We also have her S2, increase hit chance 50%. If you put her on an artifact that gives her hit chance, it'll go up to 70%. If you give her something like a symbol of unity here, you get 20% on top of that. It will stack, and she'll get 70% hit chance, so she'll counter units with evasion going up to 70%, which is pretty much all the evasion units in the game. I don't think any other unit has more evasion than 70. And you'll also see that allies and enemies cannot revive while Briar with Iseria is alive. So the double-edged sword, you can't revive your teammates, the enemy can't revive, but very powerful against reviving teams. Most of the time when you pick Briar with Iseria, you won't have revive on your team anyways, so it really isn't a double-edged sword, because if you're planning to pick her, you're not going to really pick revive, right? The enemy might have revive and you'll counter it. And also you'll see, upon receiving lethal damage, grants immortality for 1 turn, and this immortality lasts or can activate once every 5 turns. Next we have her S1. It is going to be a 75% chance for defense break, and similar to her S3, it does extra damage after a successful hit, proportional to Briar with Iseria's attacks. So she is very good against evasion units, clearly because of her S2 passive. Also very good against reviving teams, and even against reviving teams with high effect resist, such as like Maid Chloe and Destina. You're probably worried about them resisting your debuffs from your S3. Well, you can actually ignore effect resist with this. So if you actually soul burn this with your S3 and actually land defense break on Destina, you can one-shot her with another unit pretty easily. Soul Weavers usually don't have super high health compared to Knights, but very high defense. So because of that, if you land this defense break, you can actually kill a lot of Soul Weavers very easily. And even if you don't, they can't revive anyway, so it kind of negates a huge part of their kit. Now, the only thing that is bad about her kit is that her defense break here, you'll see, is a 75% chance only. Even if you soul burn it, it doesn't go up to 100% magically, it still stays at 75. So because of that, you still will have that RNG, so you have to be very careful that you don't actually rely on this too much. It's kind of like a bonus, and more times than not, you will land that defense break, but mostly your S3 is going to be used to dispel debuffs and put unbuffable, which is very powerful. Also, you'll notice, because her S2 doesn't allow enemies to revive, she's also very good against the meta unit Abyssal Euphine. You're probably wondering why, and that is because pretty much every top tier Abyssal Euphine will be run on Holy Sacrifice, so she revives after she dies and still has her fighting spirit, right? It gives her a lot more tankiness and a lot more time to activate her S3, but she actually counters this pretty hard by stopping her from reviving with that huge barrier. And also, if you land this defense break on Abyssal Euphine, most of the time they'll die very quickly because they are pretty high in defense and not super high in health. So because of that, Briar with Iseria, very good into Abyssal Euphine. Also, with her hit chance, she'll be very good into Savior Aiden and other evasion units as well. So you can see that she's very good against the current meta units, which makes her very powerful. Also, this immortality is very annoying, especially if you pair her with the fact she's a ranger. If she holds Guiding Light, she activates her stealth, very tanky. On the turn that you actually catch her out of stealth, she has the immortality, and she can stealth after it wears out again. So you can see that even though she's built very squishy, she usually lasts very long on the battlefield. Her S1, very nice. Defense break's always good, and the damage is pretty solid as well. Now, her damage overall isn't anything crazy. She's more of a utility unit. You can't draft her as your only damage dealer, otherwise she won't do enough damage to win you the game. You have to pair her with another damage dealing unit, but as a support utility damage dealer, she's very powerful. Definitely one of the best in the game because she counters a lot of the meta units. Now, if we actually want to look at her stats very quick, So there's typically a ton of ways to build her. There's 2 ways to build her actually. You can build her on high damage or high effectiveness. And by high effectiveness, I don't mean like super high. Anything around like 100, 120, 140 should be okay. And the reason why you want to build her on high effectiveness if you go that route is so that you don't have to rely on the soul burn, because not all the time will you be able to bring her with a Tagahel's Ancient book holder. So because of that, you kind of want some effectiveness on her, which is what I recommend. But some people forego all this effectiveness for full damage. Now, at the very least, you want at least 220 speed, I'd say. You can build her faster, you can build her slower. It's really up to you, as long as she goes after your damage dealers. Or not after, before your damage dealers, sorry, because you want to land your S3. And because I use slow damage dealers like Lone Crescent Bologna, Lionheart Sermia, and Navy Captain Landy and Abyss Euphine, because of that, I only have her at 220 speed. She's pretty safe with Guiding Light, which is pretty much required on her for RTA and World Arena, which will allow her to get her S3 off. Now, speaking about her artifact, if you guys don't have Guiding Light, you can always run her on other options. You can run her on Air to Surface Missile for that hit chance. You can also put her on Symbol of Unity to make her better on against evasion units. But for safety reasons, I still think Guiding Light is the best option, because it will just make her be able to cycle a lot more. Now, for her sets, you definitely want to run her on Speed Set for sure. That's no question. The secondary set, I highly recommend you give her Immunity Set. That will make it so that she can actually resist a lot of things that could be on the enemy side. That could be very annoying. And if you do 15% and resist some key things such as like Lua or Noggle, you're in a very good spot. I think Immunity is pretty much required on her. Crit Set and Effectiveness Set are good second options. Immunity Set will give you a lot more flexibility in how you can actually draft her. Now, for tankiness, you don't have to worry about it too much, because she has her Immortality and she has Guiding Light if you have her on it, right? If you guys don't have this, highly recommend getting it from the custom group summon right now, which is currently running as of this video's release, because it's so good on her. And yeah, as long as you have like 3k attack, if you have 100% crit chance and at least like 220% crit damage, you should be good to go on the damage side. She doesn't scale incredibly well with damage actually, that's why I like to run her on effectiveness. But like I said, if you don't want to run her on effectiveness, you can drop this 100% effectiveness and put the rest into attack and crit damage. Probably like 250% crit damage and like, I don't know, 3500 attack would be very good. But for me personally, I feel like her damage at that stat range is still not that great, so I actually like her on effectiveness. You can also even drop the effectiveness for more speed. It's really up to you. But like I said, there's a lot of ways to build her, which is why she's very good. You can build her faster, you can build her slower, you can build her on more damage, you can build her on less damage, you can build her on higher effectiveness, even less. So for that reason, she's one of the best ML 5-star units for newer players, because she's so good against the current meta, which we talked about with her skills, and because her build path is very flexible. She pairs very well with other damage dealers, and she also is very good as a counter pick. Most of the time, you're picking her to counter evasion units and revive, and if you do that in World Arena, you're pretty set. She's very strong there, especially if you can actually get her through the ban phase. Briar Iseria, guys, super strong unit. If you guys don't have her and you're debating whether to pick her between, these 4 units, which a lot of people have been talking about, Briar Iseria always going to be good. She counters a core aspect of the game. All these other 3 units are good as well, Zio, Bologna, and Sermia, but Briar Iseria, you can never go wrong with picking her either. Honestly, it's up to you, but if you guys do decide to pick her, this is how you want to build her. If you guys want to see more videos like this talking about more meta units and how to build them, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll also be uploading more on this content. Peace.